Everyone, welcome to my channel. So here today we are going to be looking at eukaryotes. So what are they? So eukaryotes are a domain of life. They are a domain of life that have a true nucleus. So they are mostly multicellular, but there are a few exceptions. Like for example, if you look at Amoeba is a part of eukarya, but they have a unicellular, meaning to say they are made up of one cell. Now, when we look at our eukarya, the main thing that we are going to be looking at under eukaryotes, we have the protists, which is our topic for today. Protists, we have plants, we have fungi, we have and we also have animals. So now the main thing that we are going to be looking at today is what we are going to call protists. So the brief introduction to protists. So now protists, what are they? So being eukaryotes, they are neither plants. Protists are neither plants, animals, or fungi. They do not fall under any category. However, they themselves have got fungi-like properties or characteristics or features. They have fungi-like, plant-like, and animal-like characteristics. When we look at this, we can have something like plant-like. We can have algae, which looks like this, or which is more like a plant, but it's not necessarily a plant because it doesn't have roots, it doesn't have leaves. But algae is an example of a plant-like. It is an example of a plant-like protist. When we look at this other one, this is an example of a fungi-like protist, as you can see. So this is a fungi-like protist. It can also be animal-like. When we look at the Amoeba, Paramecium, Euglena can be a mixotroph, meaning to say it feeds heterotrophically, meaning from other organisms, or it can feed, or it can be an autotroph, meaning to say it can produce its own food. So that is autotrophs, like that. So let's dig deeper on the protists. Their nutrition can either be autotrophs. Autotrophs are those that can produce their own food. An example we can have is algae. Then we can also have what we call heterotrophs. So these can be those that feed or obtain nutrients from other organisms. So the example of an heterotroph is Amoeba. So this one only eats. This one is an example of an heterotroph. Then we have when we are looking at Euglena, this one is a mixotroph, meaning to say it can either be heterotrophic, meaning to say it can eat other organisms, or it can produce its own food. It is able to produce its own food. So that is basically the types of nutrition. We have heterotrophs. We also have the same ones that I've mentioned, mixotrophs, which can either produce their own food, or they can produce their own food, or they can also be able to get nutrition from other organisms. From other organisms. So that's that. Then we are going now to look at the different classes of protists, which we are going to call plant-like protists. So the plants-like protists that we have are generally, they contain chlorophyll, in most cases. The other thing is that they also have cellulose. If you recall, cellulose is one of the things that is found in the plant cell wall. So that is basically where cellulose is found. Now you might wonder, why is it that they are not classified as plants? So this is because they lack roots, they lack stems and leaves. So they lack roots, stems and leaves. So that's why they cannot be classified as plants. But they are able to produce oxygen. So before we look at that, when we look at movement, the movement can either be through cilia, others will use cilia, others will use flagellum, and others might use pseudopodia. These will be further discussed in another video. So pseudopodia, like for example, if you look at this one, if you look at amoeba has got pseudopodia. So this is pseudopodia, the 4 feet. Then we have Paramecium. This one has got cilia. Then when you look at Euglena, it has got flagellum. So those are some of the characteristics of protists. Now we were on plant-like protists. So this one, we have already discussed what it is about, but let's just talk about the different types of algae. So the types of algae that is there. So we might have green algae, we might have red algae, we might have brown algae. Now, what are some of the things that you need to know on this one? It is the chlorophyll types. Then we are also going to have what we are going to call diatoms, like this. So the type of chlorophyll that is found in this is for green algae, we are going to have A and B. So this is the type of chlorophyll found. Then when we look at the components that it is made up, it also has got cellulose, which is the part that forms the cell wall, like that. So then when we look at our red algae, we are going to have our A. So this A, if it is only present alone, mostly, it is the one that causes red color, because this one, as if you remember from the previous video on eukaryotes, archaea, should I say, we have A, which we were referring to this term, which we were calling. So when we look at this one, phycoerythrin, you can just remember the word erythrin because this is the red blood cell. When you say erythrocyte, that's the red blood cell. So that is red. So the red algae have got A chlorophyll. So all these that I'm talking about are chlorophyll, A and B chlorophyll. This one is A chlorophyll. Then when we look at brown, we are going to be looking at chlorophyll C. So brown chlorophyll C, you must know this. Then when we look at the diatoms, these ones have got a glass-like shell. So as you can see, these are resembling that of class. So these ones are made up of what we are going to call chlorophyll A and chlorophyll C. So the diatoms are made of chlorophyll A and chlorophyll C. So for green, A and B. For red, remember erythrocyte, phycoerythrin is mostly made of A. So that's chlorophyll A. Then here you're going to have the chlorophyll C, which is for brown algae. Then diatoms are going to have A and C like that. We also have fungus like protists, fungus or fungi like protists. So these feed under the process of heterotrophic nutrition. The example that we might have is saprophytic nutrition. This is where the organism feeds on dead decaying matter. Now, the main reason why they are not called fungi is simply because they lack what's this? They lack chitin. So chitin is the outer layer of fungi. This one is always present, but for them they are not fungi because they lack chitin. What do they have instead? They have cellulose. So they have cellulose instead of chitin. So as you can see, this is the fungi like protists. So these are able to grow on trees and feed on dead decaying matter. So that is basically it about protists. That's the introduction. Then the next one we are going to look at in details are the amoeba, paramecium. We are also going to be looking at Euglena. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next tutorial.